You know what's funny? People think the hardest part of dating is getting someone to like you. But the truth is, the real challenge is recognizing it when they actually do. When it comes to understanding real attraction, people often search for dramatic gestures, flowers, long texts, big romantic lines. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more reliable, subtle consistency. A man who genuinely likes you rarely announces it with a grand performance. Instead, he reveals it through quiet repetition of effort. It's the small, predictable actions that create a pattern, and that pattern is the clearest window into his feelings. Think about it this way. Anyone can show up once. Anyone can be charming for a moment. Anyone can send a sweet message on a day when they're bored or lonely. But when someone is consistently attentive, day after day, week after week, it means something deeper is driving that behavior. Consistency isn't random, it's intentional, and intention comes from emotional investment. When a guy really likes you, he naturally makes you part of his rhythm. He messages you not because he feels obligated, but because it feels incomplete not to. He checks in when something reminds him of you. He follows up after your big presentation or asks about the thing you mentioned casually last night. He doesn't vanish for no reason, nor does he create a cycle of highs and lows. You feel a sense of emotional stability from him, not confusion. Consistency also shows through effort, not perfection. Maybe he can't talk all day, but he makes sure you know he's still there. Maybe he has a busy week, but he finds a moment to say so, instead of disappearing and popping back up like nothing happened. These are the habits of a man who sees you as someone meaningful, not temporary. You'll notice he doesn't rely on grand excuses either. He takes responsibility for communication. If he says he'll call, he does. If he says he'll meet you, he's on time, or he lets you know if he's running late. Reliability becomes part of his presence. His consistency makes you feel safe to open up, safe to trust, safe to invest, because you're not being asked to gamble on uncertainty or potential. And that's what subtle consistency truly is. Emotional honesty expressed through actions. A quiet, steady signal that says, I'm here, I'm showing up. You matter. When a man likes you, he doesn't make you chase clarity. He replaces your doubts with patterns. He shows you again and again that attention isn't a performance for him. It's a habit born from genuine affection. When a man is genuinely falling for you, something almost effortless happens in the way he pays attention. It's not forced, and it's not something he does because he thinks he's supposed to. It's natural because when you matter to someone, their mind automatically starts recording the small things about you. Your preferences, your quirks, your stories, the way your mood shifts when you're tired or overwhelmed, all of it becomes meaningful to him in a way that feels almost instinctive. It starts with simple observations. Maybe you mentioned once that you like your coffee a certain way, and he brings it to you without asking again. Maybe you told him about a stressful day you had last week, and he checks in to see how things turned out. These aren't random acts. They are reflections of genuine interest. He is listening to understand you, not just to respond. He absorbs the details because he wants to feel closer to you, not because he is trying to impress you. You'll notice his attention in the way he remembers dates, names, and stories most people overlook. He'll recall the song you said you loved in childhood. He'll remember how you prefer to sit when you're tired. He'll replay conversations in his mind because they matter to him. This kind of attention is rare, because it cannot be faked for long. It's consistent, subtle, and deeply revealing. When a man pays attention, he also adapts. If he knows certain things make you anxious, he tries to be thoughtful about them. If he knows something makes you laugh, he leans into it. He uses the information he gathers not to manipulate, but to make you feel seen and valued. And that's what separates real interest from casual curiosity. He treats what you share as something precious. This attention also shows in the way he asks questions. He wants to know about your ambitions, your fears, your dreams, your past, your future. He dives deeper because your inner world fascinates him just as much as your outer beauty. A man who is falling for you pays attention not because he feels pressured to, but because caring about you becomes the most effortless and meaningful part of his day. And the most telling part is this. He notices even the things you didn't realize you revealed. The tone behind your words, the silence between your thoughts, the shift in your smile. When a man pays attention to the details, it's his heart speaking long before his mouth ever does. One of the clearest signs that a man is genuinely falling for you is the way he begins to prioritize you, not out of pressure, but out of pure desire. When someone is truly interested, they don't try to squeeze you into the leftover corners of their life. They don't treat you like an afterthought or a convenience. Instead, they create intentional space for you, and that choice speaks louder than any romantic line ever could. A man who likes you starts to shift things around, even in small ways. If he knows your schedule, he tries to align with it. If he has a busy week, he tells you ahead of time so you never feel ignored or confused. He gives you clarity instead of uncertainty. This kind of effort isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small, meaningful actions that show you matter enough for him to plan around. You'll notice he begins to initiate more. He sets dates instead of waiting for you to do it. He suggests plans instead of hoping something just happens. He doesn't leave things vague. He gives direction, which is one of the strongest indicators of emotional investment. When a man prioritizes you, he doesn't rely on chance. He creates opportunities to be close to you. It also becomes clear in the way he manages his time. A man who is casually interested gives you what's easy. A man who is falling for you gives you what's important, even when he's tired, even when he's overwhelmed, even when life is chaotic. He finds moments. Not because he must, but because the connection he feels with you becomes something he wants to nurture, not risk losing. Prioritizing you also means he makes you feel like you're part of his life, not an interruption in it. You feel included, not tolerated. He communicates instead of disappearing. He chooses presence over avoidance and effort over excuses. This is the difference between someone who sees you as temporary and someone who sees you as valuable. And the most powerful part is this: when a man prioritizes you, you never feel like you're competing for his attention. You feel respected. You feel considered. You feel chosen. His time becomes an expression of his feelings. His effort becomes the proof. And you never have to question where you stand because his actions tell you consistently that you matter enough for him to make space, not just promises. When a man is truly falling for you, one of the most natural things that begins to surface is his protective instinct, not in a controlling or possessive way, but in a way that shows genuine care for your well-being. It's subtle, gentle, and often expressed through small gestures that you might overlook at first. But these small gestures reveal something bigger. He feels responsible for your comfort, your safety, and your emotional experience around him. You'll notice it in the way he becomes more aware of your surroundings. If you're walking on a busy street, he instinctively shifts to the side with the traffic. If you're uncomfortable in a crowded place, he positions himself close enough to give you a sense of security. He pays attention to your body language, whether you're anxious, tired, or overwhelmed, and adjusts his behavior to make you feel at ease. This isn't something someone can fake for long. It's instinctive, and it comes from a deeper emotional connection. His protective side also shows up in the way he communicates. If you're heading home late, he checks to make sure you arrive safely. When something upsetting happens in your day, he wants to know, not out of curiosity, but because your feelings matter to him. He listens differently. He responds differently. He offers reassurance without you having to ask. You'll see it in the way he tries to lighten your stress, or offer solutions, or simply sits with you in silence because he knows that emotional presence is sometimes more comforting than words. Another sign is the way he steps in during small moments. He notices when someone speaks to you disrespectfully and his energy shifts, not in aggression, but in support. He checks if you're cold and hands you his jacket. He slows his pace when you're tired. He pays attention when you mention not feeling well. He gives without expecting anything in return because protecting you brings him a sense of purpose and connection. He also becomes more mindful of his own actions. He avoids things that might hurt you, even unintentionally. He's careful with his words, more patient during misunderstandings, and more thoughtful about how his choices impact you. His protectiveness extends beyond physical safety. It's emotional, psychological, and deeply tender. And the truth is, this kind of protectiveness isn't about dominance. It's about value. When a man is falling for you, he values your peace, your comfort, your smile. He wants to be someone who adds to your life, not someone who disrupts it. His protective behavior becomes one of the clearest signs that his feelings have moved from simple attraction to genuine emotional attachment. One of the most undeniable signs that a man is falling for you is when he begins to naturally include you in his vision of the future. This doesn't always show up in dramatic statements or long conversations about commitment. Most of the time, it appears in small, effortless ways. Little hints, small phrases, subtle planning that reveals he isn't just seeing you as part of his present, but as someone he wants woven into the days ahead. It might begin with simple comments like, "We should try that place sometime," or "I want to show you this spot I love." These aren't just casual suggestions, they're emotional openings. He's expressing a desire to experience things with you, not just by himself. In his mind, the idea of the future is starting to feel incomplete without your presence in it. You'll notice he makes plans that stretch beyond the moment. Maybe he talks about a movie coming next month and suggests watching it together. Maybe he mentions an event in a few weeks and subtly includes you in that picture. These are not accidental. A man won't anchor his future to someone he doesn't feel emotionally invested in. The future becomes a canvas where he starts painting both of you, not because he wants to impress you, but because the thought of sharing experiences with you already feels right. When he talks about his goals, his dreams, or the things he's working toward, you'll find him wanting your thoughts, your reactions, your presence. He begins to open up about where he's headed, not to boast, but because your opinion and involvement matter to him. You become someone whose presence enriches his vision, not someone he keeps on the outside. He may also begin to tailor his plans with consideration for you. If he knows you'll be busy, he adjusts timing. If he knows you enjoy certain things, he finds ways to incorporate them. This level of thoughtfulness isn't temporary. It's a sign that he values the idea of us more than me. The most compelling sign, though, is how natural it feels. He doesn't force future talk. He doesn't make promises he can't keep. Instead, he lets it slip genuinely because he's imagining you there without even thinking about it. That's what real falling feels like. When a man begins to see you beyond today, when you quietly become part of his plans, his stories, his adventures, that's when you know his feelings have moved from interest to something far deeper. Sometimes the strongest signs that a man is falling for you don't come from what he says. They come from what his body reveals without his permission. A man may try to stay cool, composed, or even guarded because he doesn't want to look too obvious or vulnerable. But the body betrays what the heart is trying to hide. When someone's feelings deepen, their body language becomes a quiet confession long before their words ever catch up. One of the clearest signs is eye contact. A man who is falling for you holds your gaze just a second longer than normal, not in a forced or uncomfortable way, but in a way that shows he's genuinely drawn to you. His eyes soften when he looks at you. He gets lost for a moment. He may look away quickly when he gets caught staring, not because he's uninterested, but because he's trying to manage the intensity of what he feels. You'll also notice shifts in his physical presence. When he likes you, he naturally leans in closer without realizing it. His shoulders turn toward you. His feet point in your direction. When you speak, he tilts his head, giving you his full attention. Even in a group, his body stays oriented to you, almost like his instinct is to stay connected. When he laughs, he might lightly touch your arm, not to flirt aggressively, but because your energy pulls him closer. Nervous excitement is another giveaway. A man who is falling for you may seem slightly fidgety, not in a negative way, but in that charming, subtle way where he fixes his shirt, adjusts his hands, or straightens himself when you walk into the room. He becomes more aware of his appearance, his posture, his presence. His energy shifts and you feel it instantly. There's also a protective softness in his expressions. When you're upset, his face changes. He looks concerned, attentive, present. When you're excited, his smile becomes wider, more genuine. He mirrors your emotions because he's emotionally attuned to you. His reactions are quicker, deeper, and more sincere. And then there's the simplest but most profound sign, proximity. A man who is falling for you finds reasons to be near you, walking beside you, sitting close, standing next to you. He doesn't invade your space. He just moves into it naturally because being near you feels right. Words can be held back. Feelings can be delayed. But the body speaks without filters. When a man's body language consistently shows attention, presence, nervousness, warmth, and focus, it's because his heart is already far more invested than he's ready to admit out loud. When you look at all these signs together, a clear truth begins to form. A man who is genuinely falling for you doesn't hide behind confusion, mixed signals, or emotional games. His feelings reveal themselves in the quiet consistency of his actions, in the way he listens, in the time he gives you, in the subtle protective instinct he can't switch off, and in the natural way he starts including you in his future without even thinking about it. His body speaks, his presence speaks, and his behavior speaks long before he ever gathers the courage to put it all into words. The beauty is that you don't need to chase, beg for clarity, or decode complicated behavior. Real interest is never a puzzle. It becomes visible in the way he shows up day after day, in the way he remembers the things that matter to you, and in the effort he puts into making you feel valued, supported, and understood. You don't feel uncertain around a man who is falling for you. You feel chosen, and that is the heart of it all. When a man truly likes you, he makes it known through steady action, not sudden intensity, through emotional investment, not empty promises, through presence, not excuses. When he's falling, he doesn't make you wonder if you matter. He shows you, quietly, consistently, and unmistakably, that you do. The signs aren't just about recognizing his feelings, they're about recognizing your worth. Because someone who sees your value will always behave like it. And when you learn to trust these signs, you'll stop settling for uncertainty and start embracing the kind of connection that feels clear, steady, and beautifully real.